Sorry.
Yes.
When I am meditating and I do the once in the meditation, breathing, taking a breath to the top of my crown chakra, and it opens, it feels really wonderful. And my question is there a time, does that naturally kind of close back up on its own? Or are there times as we go through the world that we shouldn't have it that open, our crown chakra?
Well, I wouldn't suggest doing it in the middle of traffic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do that maybe just before you go to sleep, take a breath like that. You could do it maybe once or twice in a meditation class, take a breath like that. But don't do it too much because it's very powerful and it might flood you with energy that you're not ready to deal with yet.
Mm-hmm.
But do it, you do it once, twice a day. And a good time to do it is right before you go to sleep. Good time to do it is in this meditation class. But don't walk around doing that all day because you might drive yourself crazy. And don't do it again in traffic.
Yeah.
It might be a direct route to higher energy in the universe. So that's what I suggest about that. It's a very important exercise. It's a very good exercise to use, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to use it very consciously.
Mm-hmm. It feels good.
Hmm?
It feels good when I do it.
We're supposed to.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, just don't do it too much.
Okay.
You space yourself out.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question? Somebody's got to have a question. Ask a question. Only today it went on for like 40 minutes, and it was really wonderful. Questions.
Stuart,
Yes,
can you talk about Christ energy?
about Christ energy.
Yeah.
Uh, Look, it was one of the most sacred, holy manifestations of God that ever lived on the earth. An energy that is very nurturing, very pure, that people made very dogmatic. I mean, they created a whole set of rules and regulations about energy that really touched on the truth. That was beyond rules and regulations and all kinds of dogma and beliefs and non-beliefs. It was pure. It was extraordinary. I mean, Old Testament, the stories of Christ are just some of the most beautiful stories ever written. I mean, I look. I'm not a Christian. In fact, I don't really believe in any religion. Hindu, Buddhist, Christian. At the same time, I have a deep respect for the Buddha, for Christ, for Moses, for Muhammad, for the great teachers. Padmasambhava, for the great teachers that their teachings truly touched on the truth of what really is the essence of what we're here to learn about life. And I find that to be, you know, quite amazing. I mean, it's just nurturing for me. And I would never, ever turn my back on that type of thing. Am I a Christian? No. Do I want to go to church every Sunday? No. Do I want to go to a synagogue every Saturday? No, I don't. And I respect what people do there. I do. But you know, I need a truth based on less dogma and more inner experience, of God, of spirit, of higher energy, of energy that really takes me to a transcendental place. Do I have anything negative to say about Christ? No, my God. The greatest the Buddha? No, these are the greatest teachings that have ever, if people would only build their inner lives to get to the place where they could function like Christ and the Buddha, we would be living on a different planet. And I think that's what they talked about. Each and every human being has Christ living in them, the Buddha living in them, Muhammad living in them. All the greatest teachers and spiritual beings live inside us, and they're there to guide us to our own enlightenment. And it's not one path or another path, it's each unique path that a human being treads. And all of the teachings are just guidance, telling us, hey, go a little deeper, get a little closer to the truth in yourself. Understand that everything in this life is just transitory. And they all taught that. So, am I a theologian? No. Can I analyze and talk about Christ? No, I can't. I don't know about religion. I do know about how to work in myself to tap spiritual consciousness, God, higher energy. But I can't analyze religious precepts and concepts and ideas and what people believe and don't believe. I just respect it. Everybody's on their own path. I mean, in this apartment where I live, I have, you come into my apartment. On the right is a 18th century painting of a bodhisattva from Japan, Buddhist. Next to it is a Ganesh, Hindu. Right above it is a Jain painting from the 16th century, that was also an Indian religion, but not quite Hinduism. I think they all have something amazing to give if we don't get involved in all the ritual and we learn from the source, from the deepest elements of all these religions. They all have something amazing to give. So that's what I mean, I don't really believe, but that's what I have, that's what I find works for me. And it teaches me how to become more human and how to allow myself not to judge anybody and what they do in life. Because each person is on their own individual karmic journey. And they're very different than mine. And who am I to judge what they do and they don't do? I'm not here to do that. I'm here to continue to work to get as close to the truth as I can possibly get. But you read, the Sermon on the Mount is one of the greatest Vedas ever written. It's so profoundly true, the things he's talking about there. And yet in tantric meditation, Kundalini yoga, there's the immaculate. What's the immaculate conception in Kundalini yoga? We're giving birth to the soul, to ourselves. We are children of God, and we have to find that essence inside ourselves that connects us to God and allows us to be nurtured by God, higher energy. We have to transform the human to the divine. It's the Immaculate Conception. It exists in every religion. And I believe that the Buddha, Christ, they live in every human being. And most people have substituted money and power and something of that nature for their connection with higher energy in the universe, for their connection to God. And it's why the world is so crazy. But do I want to be a Buddhist? No, I've known enough Buddhists in my life. I don't want to be a Buddhist. I don't want to be a Hindu. I've known enough Hindus. I've been in India 40 times, you know? I've met enough Hindus and Buddhists and, you know, I mean, I've met some that were great teachers for me, like Kala Rinpoche, very great teacher for me. And he really, you know, kind of changed my life a little bit, what he taught me. It was amazing. A Buddhist teacher, Tibetan Buddhist teacher. You know, a couple of months ago, I bought a statue of Christ. I have it hanging in my bedroom, actually. Not because I'm a Christian, but because the work was so beautiful and it was so deeply spiritual. But I said, I like to live with this thing for a while. You know, not that I possess it or own it. I would like to live there. You got to pay money to get these things, but it was to live with for a while because the essence, the artist really tapped something profound. The kind of things I saw when I was in Florence, you know, 17th century, this is 17th century sculpture. And, you know, at the galleries there, and I got it hanging with Buddhas and just bodhisattvas. You know, to me, it all works if you don't look at it as religion and dogma and the right way to live. If you look at it as something deeply connected to the truth, to spirit, to God, to higher energy. And that's how I see Christ. You understand? That's how I see it. One of the greatest teachers that ever was on the earth. So I see the Buddha. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart. That was great.
You're welcome. So I saw Rudy, my pathway to spiritual enlightenment, to learn what he had to teach me because my need to attain a state of spiritual enlightenment transcended every other need I had. And I only found it out by doing the meditation he taught me. Does anyone else have a question they'd like to ask? If you go in Jennifer's bedroom, there's an oil painting of Christ from the 17th century, probably Spanish or Spanish colonial. And it is so sensitively beautiful. And the spiritual element in it is so profound, it's so profound that I go and I look at it, I love it. Not because I'm Christian or I'm going to follow some Christian doctrines and dogmas, but it's so deeply spiritual, so deeply, profoundly connected to God, the painting. And that's what I look at in life, in all of you, in life, and what is parts of each and every one of us that are so profoundly connected to spirit, the higher energy. And all the rest of it, it just has to be surrendered. You have to let go of it. Does anyone else have a question? Anybody?
Thank you, Stuart, for what you just said. It was so profound and so helpful to me.
You're welcome,
Just
Christine.
stunning. Thank you.
Helpful to me too. I'm not talking, this stuff comes through me, I mean, I don't talk like this all day. Comes through. Okay, if there are no more questions, then God bless you all. Thank you for being here. I said, somebody asked me about technology today, and I said, I don't really like doing these classes on Zoom. That's what I told people today in the class this afternoon. I really don't like this, but I do it because it's a requirement, it's nurturing people, it's giving life, it's finding a way to use technology on a higher level. And I feel blessed to be able to do it. It's not, but if I had my druthers, I would much rather have classes like I had on Fourth Avenue, where we'd have dinners afterward, and people would hug each other, and there was so much love in the air, But God knows this is what it is today. We live in a very different world today. And I just feel very blessed that I can connect with you, people sitting here from literally all over the world. And I can connect with you through Zoom. And I don't know if they developed Zoom so that I can do this, but it's certainly, I thank them. And I'm telling you, I don't really enjoy or like doing this. I like the connection and the energy and the nurturing and the path that somehow has been given to me to use Rudy's work to help people. So thank you. God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. And, there'll be class on tomorrow night. Looking forward to seeing you. Have a wonderful evening and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
Good night, Stuart.
Thank you, sir.
You.
Beautiful.